south through Widow's Crossing, past fields where the fog came crawling. An old rail line cut through the trees, rusting slowly with the years. The evening settled cold and gray as daylight slipped away, and every mile beneath my wheels brought back things I used to feel. The wind knew every broken name, every loss and every flame, and carried them across the land like grains of dust through open hands. Down at Widow's Crossing tonight, where the darkness meets the light, no easy answers waiting there, just cold winds in the midnight air. Widow's Crossing, old and warm, holding stories through the storm, and every road that passes through leaves with something true. Depot stood abandoned still beyond the creek and over the hill, its windows dark as paint long gone, yet somehow it kept holding on. I thought about the years that fade, promises people never made, and how time takes what it will take without a reason we can name. The tracks don't care who comes or goes, they only follow where they flow, across the miles and through the years, past every hope and fear. Down at Widow's Crossing tonight, where the darkness meets the light, no easy answers waiting there, just cold winds in the midnight air. Widow's Crossing, old and warm, holding stories through the storm, and every road that passes through leaves with something true. Climbed over barren ground, casting silver all around. The fog drifted across the rails like fragments of forgotten tales, and in that quiet, lonely place I found a trace of grace, not in certainty or pride, but in simply staying alive. Every crossing marks a choice, every silence holds a voice, and every path we choose to take becomes the life we make. Thinking about where I've been through every loss and every scar, beneath these fading stars. Widow's Crossing, dark and wide, with the long night at your side, and every mile beyond this place carries part of its trace. The fog fades into morning light, and the rails disappear from sight. pines stood on the ridge, bent by storms they never picked, twisted trunks and broken limbs, still reaching where the light begins. I drove beneath their shadowed line on an old road lost to time. The evening settled dark and slow, like a secret nobody knows. The wind moved through the needles high, like a warning in the sky. And every branch that scraped the night sounded like a distant fight. Beneath the crooked pines I ride, where the ghosts of years reside. No easy answers waiting there, just cold wind and midnight air. Crooked pines, old and worn, standing through every storm. And every time I pass beneath, they remind me not to leave. The gravel cracked beneath the wheels like old wounds that never heal. The moon hung pale above the trees, casting shadows on the leaves. I thought about the roads I've crossed, every gain and every loss, and how the strongest things I've known often grew from standing alone. The darkest woods can still reveal the kind of truth that's hard to feel. And every mile through the unknown can teach a heart to carry on. Beneath the crooked pines I ride, where the ghosts of years reside. No easy answers waiting there, just cold wind and midnight air. Crooked pines, old and worn, standing through every storm. And every time I pass beneath, they remind me not to leave. The dawn arrived in faded gold across the hills and forest road. The trees were still bent toward the sky, yet somehow they remained alive. And in their shape I came to see a little bit of me, not untouched by wind and rain, but standing just the same. Strength is rarely straight and tall, sometimes it's learning not to fall. And sometimes what appears broken is simply proof you've kept going. Crooked pines I ride, with the years still by my side. The road goes on, the seasons turn, and then there's always more to learn. Crooked pines I understand, you were never Yet here you stand against the sky, and so do I. The wind moves softly through the trees and follows me. Cut west through barren fields, past rusted plows and broken wheels. A murder of crows filled the sky, drawing shadows as they passed by. The gravel cracked beneath my boots like old truths without excuses. And every mile the darkness grew until the world was black and blue. The crows flew low against the wind like they knew where I'd been, tracing circles overhead above the roads I should have left. Down Crow Black Road tonight, where the day surrenders to the night. No silver lining, no easy grace, just dust and time in this forgotten place. Crow Black Road, long and wide, with a cold wind by my side, and every mile beneath the stars leaves another scar. An old gas station stood alone, its window shattered, sign long gone. The pumps were rusted where they stood, swallowed slowly by the woods. I stopped and listened to the air, the kind of silence waiting there, the kind that settles in your bones and reminds you you're alone. Some roads don't lead to anywhere, but still you find yourself there, following questions through the dark, searching for a spark. Down Crow Black Road tonight, where the day surrenders to the night. No silver lining, no easy grace, just dust and time in this forgotten place. Crow Black Road, long and wide, with a cold wind by my side, and every mile beneath the stars leaves another scar. Above the pines, casting silver across county lines. The crows were gone, the sky was still, the night stretched over every hill. And in that emptiness I found a strange peace in the sound of nothing asking me to be anything but me. Sometimes a road is all there is, no grand reward, no final gift, just another mile to travel through, and the strength to see it through. dawn appears beyond the plain, and the crows return again. Hollow lantern swung alone outside a shack of weathered stone. Its fading glow fought through the dark like a dying but stubborn spark. The road was lost beneath the night, no moon above, no guiding light, just that lonely lantern flame burning through the wind and rain. Some lights shine bright and quickly fade, some survive through every shade, and sometimes all you really need is enough light to believe that hollow lantern lights the way through the black and through the gray. It doesn't chase away the night, but gives me just enough to fight. Hollow lantern, worn and weak, still saying what I need to hear. Keep moving down this broken road and carry on the load. The boards creak softly in the breeze, the shadows stretched among the trees. The fields beyond were cold and bare, but that small light was still there. I've seen stronger things collapse, heard proud men speak their final acts, yet that little flame remained through every storm and every change. The strongest hearts are often found in things that never make a sound, holding on when all around is falling to the ground. That hollow lantern lights the way through the black and through the gray. It doesn't chase away the night, but gives me just enough to fight. Hollow lantern, worn and weak, still saying what I need to hear. Keep moving down this broken road and carry on the load. The eastern sky began to rise, a pale glow spreading through the skies. The lantern's light grew faint and small as morning answered to its call. And in that quiet moment there, I understood why it was there. Not to conquer all the dark, but to protect a single spark. Hope is rarely loud or bright, sometimes it's just a fragile light, refusing to surrender when the darkness closes in. Certainty or pride, but with quiet strength inside. Hollow lantern burning low, you taught me more than you'll ever know. And even when your light is gone, the lesson carries on. shine and fades into the dawn, but the road goes on. Clock struck 12 in a dying town. Street lights flickered, half burned down. Storefront windows held no glow, just reflections from long ago. I walked alone through empty streets, listening to my dragging feet. Every shadow knew my name, every corner looked the same. The night remembers what I hide, all the things I keep inside, and every silence feels like truth, cutting deeper than it used to. This is my midnight reckoning, the weight of every broken thing. The roads I took, the roads I missed, the ghosts I loved, the fists I kissed. Midnight reckoning, cold and slow, showing me what I need to know. Not who I was, not what I've been, but who I am beneath my skin. Courthouse bell rang far away, like a warning from another day. The wind pushed dust across the square, like old regrets still hanging there. I thought time would let things die, but some memories never say goodbye. They settle deep beneath the bone and wait until you're all alone. The darker that the night becomes, the louder beat the hidden drums, calling every buried truth back into the room. This is my midnight reckoning, the weight of every broken thing. The roads I took, the roads I missed, the ghosts I loved, the fists I kissed. Midnight reckoning, cold and slow, showing me what I need to know. Not who I was, not what I've been, but who I am beneath my skin. The moon hung low above the pines, silver light on county lines. I stood there staring at the sky and let the years go drifting by. Some wounds fade and some remain, like fingerprints of loss and pain. But every scar that I can trace help me find this place. Maybe truth arrives at night when there is nowhere left to hide, and every mask we've ever worn falls away before the dawn. morning light breaks through, I'll walk on stronger than I knew. The first light rises in the east, and the shadows lose their teeth. Clouds rolled in like sheets of steel, covering everything I feel. The fields went dark before the rain, and silence settled on the plain. I stood beneath that iron sky, watching another season die. The wind carried a bitter sound across the cold and empty ground. Some days arrive without a warning, like shadows stretching through the morning, and all you can do is stand your ground when the darkness gathers round. Under a cold iron sky, I learned how not to break inside. The storm may come, the storm may stay, but it won't carry me away. Cold iron sky above my head, watching every road I've led, and every time the thunder calls, I stand taller through it all. The old barn groaned against the wind like it had done since way back when. The fence posts leaned, the paint had peeled, but somehow they refused to yield. I saw myself inside those boards, weathered by 1,000 storms, still standing though the years were rough, still proving I was strong enough. The hardest roads are often walked without a word, without a thought, just one more step and then another, through every kind of weather. Under a cold iron sky, I learned how not to break inside. The storm may come, the storm may stay, but it won't carry me away. Cold iron sky above my head, watching every road I've led, and every time the thunder calls, I stand taller through it all. The evening fell, the rain moved on, leaving silver on the lawn. The clouds began to drift apart like heavy weight from off my heart, and through the cracks I saw the light breaking through the fading night, a quiet proof that every storm eventually moves on. Strength is not a thing you're given, it's earned by simply living through every doubt and every scar, and still remembering who you are. survive. Reminds me I'm alive. The clouds drift west beyond the hill, and the night grows calm and still.
The wind came hard across the plain, dragging dust like a ball and chain. It filled the cracks, it filled the sky, turned the daylight dark and dry. I pulled my coat against the cold and walked a road I didn't know. With every step the dust would rise, like old trouble in disguise. Some things follow where you roam, no matter how far from home, like shadows stretching through the years, built from old regrets and fears. This devil's dust won't let me rest. It settles deep inside my chest. It rides the wind, it rides the rain, and finds its way back once again. Devil's dust, dark and gray, trying to blow my hope away, but I keep standing through the storm, holding on and moving on. The fence lines vanished in the haze, lost inside the drifting gray. The old oak tree bent with the gust, like it had learned the art of trust. I've seen strong men lose their way, chasing ghosts from yesterday. But the dust don't care who wins, it only cares where it's been. The harder that the wind can blow, the deeper roots are forced to grow. And every storm that comes around tests what's built on solid ground. This devil's dust won't let me rest. It settles deep inside my chest. It rides the wind, it rides the rain, and finds its way back once again. Devil's dust, dark and gray, trying to blow my hope away, but I keep standing through the storm, holding on and moving on. The sunset burned a copper red across the fields and riverbeds. The wind grew tired, the dust fell slow, revealing what I'd come to know. That every trial leaves a mark, but doesn't have to own your heart. And every road that's hard to walk has something worth the cost. The storm can shake the tallest tree, but it can't decide what I will be. And every time I face the night, I learn a little more to fight. This devil's dust still fills the air, but I don't carry the same fear. The wind may howl, the sky may turn, but some lessons must be learned. Devil's dust,
let it blow. There's strength in what I came to know, that even through the darkest skies, a stubborn spirit survives. The dust settles over the land, and I still stand.
County line appeared at dusk. Beneath the sky, smoke and rust. The road ran straight through fields of gray, where daylight slowly slipped away. Telephone poles stood like guards, watching over empty yards. And every mile of cracked black top felt like a place where time had stopped. The wind moved low across the weeds, carrying forgotten dreams, and every shadow stretched so long, like it was trying to hold on. Welcome to Shadow County tonight, where the dark arrives before the light. No flashing signs, no neon glow, just old roads that nobody knows. Shadow County, cold and still, past the creek and over the hill, and every mile beneath the stars reminds me who we really are. Clock no longer ran, its hands were frozen where they'd stand. The diner lights were burning dim like echoes from another wind. I passed the church beside the square, its steeple cutting through the air, a lonely landmark standing tall after watching decades fall. Some places never truly change, they only weather years and pain, holding stories in the dust long after iron turns to rust. Welcome to Shadow County tonight, where the dark arrives before the light. No flashing signs, no neon glow, just old roads that nobody knows. Shadow County, cold and still, past the creek and over the hill, and every mile beneath the stars reminds me who we really are. Over fields of stone, and for a while I stood alone, listening to the distant breeze moving softly through the trees. And in that silence I could hear the passing of another year, a quiet truth beneath the sky: nothing stays, and that's alright. Every town and every road carries its own kind of load, and every soul that passes through leaves behind a trace or two.
somewhere in my mind. The county fades into the dawn, but the road rolls on. Creek ran black at night beneath the cold moon's fading light. The water moved without a sound through cursed and forgotten ground. The willow trees leaned overhead like whispers from the long gone dead, and every ripple in the stream looked like a half-remembered dream. The old folks said don't linger long where the creek still hums its song, but warnings fade like autumn leaves to restless hearts that never leave. Down at Dead Man's Creek tonight, the shadows move beyond the light. The water knows what time forgot, every wound and every thought. Dead Man's Creek runs cold and deep, guarding secrets it will keep. And every mile I've traveled through leads me back to something true. The wooden bridge was old and worn, scarred by weather, age and storms. Its planks cried out beneath my feet like memories I didn't see. The current pulled against the shore like it had done for years before, unmoved by loss, untouched by pride, just carrying the years aside. Some places hold a certain weight, not of fear, but of fate, a reminder all things pass, like water flowing through the grass. Down at Dead Man's Creek tonight, the shadows move beyond the light. The water knows what time forgot, every wound and every thought. Dead Man's Creek runs cold and deep, guarding secrets it will keep. And every mile I've traveled through leads me back to something true. Light touched the eastern sky and turned the black water silver white. The creek was still the same as before, yet somehow I could see much more. Not ghosts, not curses, not despair, but lessons drifting through the air, that every life must rise and fall like the flowing waters call. The creek keeps moving year by year through every hope and every fear, and what survives the passing tide is the strength we carry inside. Once more, I understand what it's for, not to haunt or to condemn, but to remind us where we've been. Dead Man's Creek, dark and wide, rolling with the turning tide, and every mile that lies ahead is another page to be read. The creek flows on beyond the bend,
story without end.
The road dipped down through Midnight Hollow, where the dark runs deep and the wind still follow. An old dirt track cut through the pines, past forgotten fences and county lines. The air hung thick with the scent of rain, and memories drifting across the plain. I kept my eyes on the fading white of gravel shining in the moonlight. Every mile seemed twice as long, like the night was holding on to every word I left behind and every ghost inside my mind. Down in Midnight Hollow tonight, the shadows dance beyond the light. No place to run, no place to hide, just the truth walking by my side. Midnight Hollow, cold and wide, where broken dreams and hope collide. And every road that brought me here made the darkness crystal clear. The creek bed twisted through the trees, carried by a restless breeze, and now cried out from somewhere far beneath the pale and fading stars. I thought about the years gone by, the reasons why we laugh and cry, and how the weight we choose to bear can either break us or prepare. The night can strip a person bare, leave nothing but what's really there. No disguise and no excuse, only what we choose. Down in Midnight Hollow tonight, the shadows dance beyond the light. No place to run, no place to hide, just the truth walking by my side. Midnight Hollow, cold and wide, where broken dreams and hope collide. And every road that brought me here made the darkness crystal clear. And slowly turned to gray as night began to fade away. The hollow looked less dark somehow, though it was still the same place now. And standing there I understood the hard roads had done some good, teaching lessons only found on lonely stretches of broken ground. Not every darkness means defeat, sometimes it's where wisdom meets the stubborn heart that won't give in, no matter where it's been. Down in Midnight Hollow once again I see place a soul can find its grace. The sun climbs slowly through the pines and leaves the hollow far behind.
Curved down through Ironwood Hollow, where the river ran dark and slow. The ironwood trees stood twisted and tall, like they had outlived it all. Their roots dug deep through stone and clay, holding firm through every day. And every shadow they cast at night seemed older than the moonlight. Softly through the leaves, carrying things no one believes, old stories buried in the ground, waiting to be found. Down in Ironwood Hollow tonight, where the trees outlast the light. No easy road, no straight way through, just the things you know are true. Ironwood Hollow, dark and deep, garden promises we keep, and every mile beneath the stars shows us who we really are. An old well sat beside the trail, covered up by moss and shale. The rope was gone, the bucket too, like memories that slipped from view. I stopped a while and listened close to the silence that mattered most, the kind that only lonely places know, where the strongest lessons grow. The years leave marks on every face, but time can never take the strength that's built through loss and strain, and getting up again. Down in Ironwood Hollow tonight, where the trees outlast the light. No easy road, no straight way through, just the things you know are true. Ironwood Hollow, dark and deep, garden promises we keep, and every mile beneath the stars shows us who we really are. The eastern sky began to glow through the branches hanging low. The river caught the morning sun and turned to silver as it run. And standing there beside the band, I felt the night come to an end, leaving only what remained, the wisdom gathered through the pain. Some roots go deeper than the eye can ever see beneath the sky, and some hearts grow strong the same through hardship, loss, and change.
control. But to steady the soul, ironwood hollow, old and wise, beneath these weather-beaten skies. And every mile I leave behind stays rooted in my mind. The river rolls beyond the trees and disappears into the breeze.
Climbed high to Raven Ridge, past broken fences and splintered bridge. The evening sky was turning black, and there was no thought of turning back. A murder of ravens crossed the moon, their wings cut shadows through the gloom. The cold wind swept across the stone, making the whole ridge seem alone. The higher I went, the less I knew about what was false and what was true. The world below grew small and dim, like a fading memory in the wind. Up on Raven Ridge tonight, where darkness swallows every light. No place for lies, no place for pride. Just the hills and the sky so wide. Raven Ridge, cold and bare, the sound of silence everywhere. And every step upon that climb leaves another year behind. Fire tower stood alone, a skeleton of rust and bone, watching valleys far below where distant rivers used to flow. I leaned against the weathered steep, trying to understand what's real. The answers never came in words, only in the cry of birds. Some lessons hide where few will go, beyond the towns and roads we know. Waiting in the lonely places, far from familiar faces. Up on Raven Ridge tonight, where darkness swallows every light. No place for lies, no place for pride. Just the hills and the sky so wide. Raven Ridge, cold and bare, the sound of silence everywhere. And every step upon that climb leaves another year behind. The eastern horizon showed a glow, painting silver on the stones below. The ravens drifted with the dawn, like spirits finally moving on. And standing there above the land, I felt something I could understand. Not certainty, not victory, just a quiet kind of peace.
The highest ground won't change your fate, but it can help you contemplate the weight you carry every day, and what should stay or fade away. Once more, I know what I was climbing for. Not to escape, not to forget, but to face every regret. Raven Ridge, wild and free, you gave a little clarity, and every mile back down the hill carries that feeling still. The ravens vanish with the sun, and the long road calls me on.